If you enjoyed this audiobook, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge, and when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the book. Chapter 1, The Heart of Connection. Part 1, Listening with Your Whole Self. Consider this. The next time someone speaks to you, they're not just sharing words, they're offering a piece of their world. Truly listening means stepping into their perspective without judgment. This part shows how to master that skill. You'll learn practical ways to quiet distractions, read unspoken signals, and respond in ways that build trust. These aren't abstract ideas. They're tools that repair strained relationships and foster genuine teamwork. By the end, you'll see how hearing beyond words transforms ordinary exchanges into moments of real connection. Deep listening starts with presence. Think of Priya, a manager whose team felt unheard. During meetings, she'd check emails while people spoke. Her team gave bland updates, avoiding real issues. Then Priya tried one change. She put her phone in a drawer and faced the speaker fully. At the next meeting, when Ben mentioned a client deadline, Priya noticed his clenched jaw. She asked, "Ben, you seem stressed about this. What's the biggest hurdle?" His shoulders relaxed. He revealed a supplier delay no one had dared mention. Just by giving Ben her full attention, Priya uncovered a problem early. Distractions sabotage listening. External ones, like phones buzzing, are easy to spot. But internal distractions, like planning your reply while someone talks, are stealthier. Try this. Next conversation, focus solely on the speaker's words. If your mind wanders, gently return to their voice. Raj, a nurse, practiced this with patients. Instead of mentally listing tasks, he'd listen to their tone. When Mrs. Gupta said, "My back is fine," but winced while speaking, Raj probed kindly. She admitted falling earlier. Catching that pain saved her from a hidden injury. How often do you miss cues because you're half listening? Nonverbal signals speak volumes. Eyes darting away may mean discomfort. Leaning forward shows engagement. When Elena argued with her teen son Marco, she'd cross her arms and frown. He'd shut down. Then she tried mirroring his posture, sitting beside him, not opposite. One day, Marco mumbled about failing a test. Elena kept her hands open and nodded. He suddenly confessed he felt overwhelmed. Her calm body language made him feel safe. Try observing posture and expressions in your next chat. What might they reveal that words don't? Empathetic responses cement trust. After listening, paraphrase what you heard. "So you're frustrated because the process feels unfair?" This shows you understand, not just hear. Avoid solutions unless asked. When Ken's coworker Lena vented about workload, he jumped in with fixes. She grew more agitated. Later, he simply said, "That sounds exhausting, like no one sees how hard you're working." Lena teared up, then brainstormed her own ideas. Validation often helps people find answers themselves. Deep listening transforms conflicts. Take Omar, whose debates with his wife always escalated. He started pausing to ask, "What's the core worry here?" Once, she snapped about his late hours. Instead of defending, Omar said, "It sounds like you feel alone with the kids." She nodded, and they crafted a schedule together. By hearing her fear, not just her complaint, he turned a fight into teamwork. This foundation of listening prepares you for the next step, speaking with equal honesty and care. When others feel heard, they open up to your words too. Part 2. Speaking from the heart. Speaking from the heart transforms conversations. When you share honestly and kindly, you build bridges instead of walls. This isn't about dramatic speeches. It's everyday moments where your truth meets someone else's understanding. You'll learn to express feelings without blame, share stories that connect, and find words that respect both your needs and theirs. Imagine turning tense talks into trust-building exchanges. That power lies in simple, clear language and mindful timing. Let's explore how vulnerability, paired with care, creates deeper bonds and prevents misunderstandings. After truly hearing others, as Omar did with his wife, you naturally gain permission to share your own thoughts. Think of it as a dance. Listening is receiving, speaking is offering. When Priya felt overwhelmed by her teammates' missed deadlines, she first acknowledged his stress. "Ravi, I see you're juggling many projects." Then she spoke from her heart. "When reports come late, I feel anxious because timely updates help me support you." By linking her feeling to a specific need, Priya avoided blame. Ravi didn't get defensive. He proposed setting reminder alarms. Honesty thrives on simplicity. Use I statements like Priya did. I feel emotion when situation because need. This keeps focus on your experience, not the other's faults. When Carlos told his partner, I feel lonely when we don't eat together, instead of you never make time, it sparked a solution: cooking Sundays. What could I statements clarify in your life today? Vulnerability strengthens bonds. Consider Aisha, who feared sharing her divorce with colleagues. At a team lunch, she briefly mentioned her rough personal transition. To her surprise, 3 colleagues shared similar stories. Her small openness created a support network. Personal stories, even tiny ones, signal trust. But gauge readiness. Is this the right person, moment, and depth? Balance is key. Kindness without honesty breeds resentment. Honesty without kindness causes harm. Ben needed to tell his friend he couldn't lend more money. He said, Jay, I care about you, but loans strain my budget. I can't give cash now. Let's brainstorm other help. Clear, firm, yet compassionate. Jay felt respected, not rejected. Notice misunderstandings shrinking. Lena often argued with her brother about their aging mom's care. She shifted from you don't help enough to when I handle doctor visits alone, I feel scared. Could we split them? He admitted feeling excluded before. They now use a shared calendar. By speaking her fear and inviting his view, Lena turned friction into teamwork. How might reframing one complaint improve a relationship this week? Practice pauses. Before speaking, breathe. Ask, is this true? Is it kind? Is it needed? Your words will carry more weight with less noise. Part 3. Finding common ground. Imagine a disagreement where both sides feel deeply divided. Now picture them discovering a shared value that changes everything. This shift transforms conflict into collaboration. Finding common ground isn't about compromising principles. It's discovering shared hopes beneath surface arguments, like 2 neighbors arguing over a fence height who realize both want children's safety. This section reveals practical methods to uncover hidden connections in any relationship. You'll learn how simple questions can expose shared goals, turning opposition into partnership. These tools work in family disputes, workplace tensions, or community disagreements. Ready to discover what unites us even when we disagree? Priya and Omar clashed over marketing strategies at work. Priya wanted bold digital campaigns. Omar preferred traditional print ads. Their meetings grew tense until they tried this approach. Instead of defending positions, they asked, what matters most about this project? Priya discovered Omar worried about excluding older customers. Omar learned Priya wanted measurable results. Both realized they cared about reaching everyone effectively. They created hybrid campaigns using mailers with QR codes, satisfying both needs. How often do we assume disagreement means complete opposition? Ben and his teenage daughter Rosa fought about curfews. By asking open questions like, what makes you feel safe at night, and what independence do you need? Ben learned Rosa feared walking alone after dark. Rosa understood Ben's concern came from care, not control. They compromised with ride-sharing apps and check-in texts. Shared value discovered, protection with respect. Empathy bridges gaps. Consider Fatima and Carlos. Neighbors arguing about tree removal. Carlos saw fire hazards. Fatima valued wildlife habitat. When Carlos asked, what do the trees mean to you? Fatima described watching birds nest there. Carlos then shared his childhood home burning down. Their shared value? Safety and nature. They hired an arborist for selective trimming, protecting both homes and habitats. Try this 3-step approach. 1. Ask why behind positions. What makes this important to you uncovers motivations. 2. Share vulnerably. For me, this connects to, builds reciprocal trust. 3. Identify overlaps. It seems we both care about, names the common thread. In community meetings, Elena used this when residents debated park renovations. Seniors wanted benches, parents needed playgrounds. By focusing on creating welcoming spaces for all ages, they designed interconnected areas with both. Before the shift, factions keeping score. After, collaborators solving problems. What current disagreement might hold hidden shared values? These strategies work because they redirect energy from defending to discovering. Like mechanics finding a shared language despite different specialties, all focused on the vehicle's performance. When we listen for underlying hopes, conflicts become puzzles to solve together. Next, we'll explore how this foundation turns heated arguments into productive conversations. Part 4. turning conflict into conversation. Disagreements happen in every relationship. They can feel like walls between people, but what if we saw them as bridges? This part shows how to turn arguments into meaningful talks. You'll learn to keep calm when emotions run high, listen beyond words, and find solutions together. We'll explore practical ways to reframe clashes as chances for understanding. By the end, you'll see conflict not as something to fear, but as a path to stronger connections. Imagine Priya and her neighbor Leo. Priya's dog barks early mornings, waking Leo. Instead of yelling, Leo knocks on Priya's door. His hands shake, but he takes a breath. "I know you love your dog," he starts. "Could we find a way for both of us to rest?" By naming Priya's care for her pet first, Leo shifts from blame to shared concern. This small pivot changes everything. When tensions rise, our bodies react. Hearts race, palms sweat. Before speaking, try this. Press your feet flat on the floor. Feel the ground. Breathe in for 4 counts, out for 6. This signals your brain, "I'm safe." It creates space between the trigger and your response. Ask yourself, what's the real worry beneath my anger? Now consider Ben and his teenage daughter Rosa. She wants a tattoo. Ben's first thought, absolutely not. But he pauses. "Help me understand why this matters to you," he says. Rosa shares it, honors her late grandmother. Ben still has concerns, but now they discuss how to choose meaningful art safely. By seeking her perspective first, Ben turned a shutdown into dialogue. Active listening in conflict means hearing feelings, not just facts. Repeat what you've grasped. "So you feel overlooked when I work late?" This builds trust. Avoid but statements. They erase validation. Try, "I hear you're upset, and I'd like to explain my view." What recent disagreement could this approach have transformed? In workplaces, teams often clash over deadlines. Take a design team. Marco pushes for faster launches. Fatima insists on more testing. Their manager, Hannah, reframes it. "Both want our product to succeed, Marco by seizing opportunities, Fatima by protecting our reputation." Suddenly they're collaborators, not opponents. They create phased launches with built-in feedback loops. Silence can be powerful. If someone shouts, wait. Say softly, "I want to understand, can you say more?" This often diffuses heat. Remember, you don't need to agree to respect their experience. What's one relationship where this patience could shift dynamics? Every conflict has 3 layers. What happened? The facts. How do we feel? The impact. And what do we need? The future. Focus most energy on the last. What would make us both feel resolved opens doors. Like when spouses argue over chores, it's rarely about dishes. It's about feeling valued. Ending well matters. Agree on one small step forward. "I'll text if I'll be late." We'll revisit this talk next month. Growth blooms in these clear, kind agreements. Chapter 2, Words That Build Bridges, Part 1, The Power of Empathy. Imagine a world where every conversation leaves both people feeling understood and valued. That's the heart of empathy in communication. When we truly listen to understand someone's feelings and perspective, walls come down. Arguments lose their heat. Connections grow stronger. This section shows how empathy transforms ordinary talks into bridges of trust. You'll learn practical methods to listen beyond words, sense unspoken emotions, and respond with genuine care. These skills turn conflicts into collaborations and strangers into allies. Whether with a frustrated coworker or a worried friend, empathy builds relationships that last. Ready to see how this works in real life? Consider a common situation. Lena, a team leader, notices her colleague Ben arriving late and missing deadlines. Her first impulse is to scold him. Instead, she asks, "Ben, you seem overwhelmed lately. What's going on?" Ben shares his mother's illness and his stress about care costs. Lena listens without interrupting. She nods, noticing his tired eyes. "That sounds incredibly hard," she responds. Now, what if Lena had started with criticism? Ben might have quit or argued. By seeking his perspective first, she learns the real issue and adjusts his workload. This is empathy in action, shifting from blame to understanding. Empathetic listening means focusing entirely on the speaker. It's not about fixing problems or waiting for your turn to talk. Picture it like holding a fragile object. You handle it with attention and care. When Priya told her husband, "Work is crushing me," he put his phone away. "Tell me more," he said, facing her fully. He didn't jump in with advice. He listened until she sighed. Just saying it out loud helps. That quiet attention lifted her burden more than any solution could. How often do you clear distractions when someone speaks? Developing this skill takes practice. Start with the pause and reflect method. After someone speaks, briefly restate their point in your own words. For example, if a friend says, "I'm upset my sister forgot my birthday," you might say, "It hurt that she didn't remember something important to you." This shows you're tracking their feelings, not just facts. Next, ask open questions gently. What was that like for you? Avoid why questions. They can sound accusatory. Notice body language too. Folded arms or a shaky voice reveal emotions words might hide. The benefits ripple through every relationship. At work, empathy reduces conflicts. A study of 800 companies found teams with high empathy had 40% less turnover. Why? Feeling heard builds loyalty. At home, it deepens bonds. When Omar's teenager snapped, "School is pointless," Omar didn't lecture. He asked, "What's making it feel that way?" His son admitted failing math and fearing disappointment. That talk led to tutoring, not more arguments. Empathy even helps strangers. A nurse, Anna, calmed an angry patient by saying, "Waiting hours is frustrating. I'd be upset too." His shoulders relaxed instantly. What's one relationship where better listening could change things? Challenges arise, of course. If someone's view seems illogical, our brain shouts, "Wrong." Breathe. Remind yourself, understanding isn't agreeing. When Kaido's client demanded an unrealistic deadline, he thought, "This is nonsense." Instead, he said, "Help me see why this timing matters to you." The client explained an investor deadline and they compromised. Another trap is assuming we know how others feel. Ask. Say, "It seems like you're stressed. Is that right?" Let them correct you. This builds accuracy and trust. Empathy transforms conversations, but it's only the start. Once we understand others deeply, we face a new question. How do we speak our truth without causing harm? That's where kindness and honesty meet. A balance we'll explore next. Part 2. Honest talk, gentle words. Balancing honesty with kindness requires thoughtful effort. Imagine needing to tell a neighbor their barking dog keeps you awake. Bluntly saying, "Control your mutt," might feel honest, but it damages the relationship. Instead, saying, "Carlos, I know how much you love Rex. His barking at night makes it hard for me to sleep. Could we find a solution?" respects both parties. This approach, truth wrapped in care, turns potential conflicts into connection opportunities. We'll explore practical ways to deliver hard truths while preserving trust, using real conversations as our guide. What recent situation made you hesitate between speaking up and staying silent? Timing transforms difficult messages. When Priya noticed her colleague Ben missed deadlines, she waited until they weren't rushing for a meeting. "Over coffee," she said, "your design ideas are brilliant. When deadlines slip, the team scrambles. Let's map out your workload." Her calm tone and private setting helped Ben hear the feedback without shame. Studies show 65% of message impact comes from nonverbal cues like eye contact and posture. Leaning slightly forward signals engagement. Crossed arms can feel like judgment. Language choices matter greatly. "You didn't listen" feels accusatory. "I feel unheard" when meetings get cut short. Centers your experience. This I statement technique, validated by psychologists, reduces defensiveness. Consider Marta, who told her sister, "When you borrow clothes without asking, I worry they'll get stained," instead of "You're so irresponsible." The first version sparked cooperation, the second caused a fight. Case in point, a tech CEO practiced delivering layoff news. Early attempts sounded cold. "Your role is eliminated." After coaching, he added, "This reflects company changes, not your excellent work. We'll provide severance and references." Employees later thanked him for his compassion. His shift shows how framing protects dignity. What phrases could soften your toughest messages? Body language reinforces gentleness. Nodding shows you're tracking feelings, not just words. A paused breath before responding prevents reactive harshness. Even in tense talks, a brief hand touch, if appropriate, can signal goodwill. Ending positively maintains bridges. After discussing problems, offer next steps. How can we avoid this? Or what support do you need? This invites collaboration, leaving the conversation stronger than before. As we'll see next, questions become powerful tools for deepening these connections. Part 3. Asking the right questions. Great questions act as keys that open doors to deeper understanding and connection. They transform ordinary talks into meaningful exchanges, helping us uncover what truly matters to others. This part shows how crafting thoughtful inquiries builds trust, encourages sharing, and reveals hidden perspectives. You'll discover practical ways to ask questions that make conversations richer and more productive. Consider Priya, a team leader whose project missed its deadline. Instead of demanding, "Why wasn't this done?" she asked, "What obstacles made this timeline challenging?" This simple shift encouraged her colleague Ben to share supply chain issues he'd feared mentioning. The conversation moved from blame to solutions. Closed questions often yield dead ends. "Did you finish the report?" gets a yes/no. Open questions like, "What surprised you while researching?" invite reflection and detail. How might your usual questions limit deeper understanding? Effective questioning starts with genuine curiosity. When Marcus noticed his daughter Lena sketching quietly, he replaced "How was school?" with "What felt most exciting in your art class today?" Her eyes lit up as she described a new technique. Follow-up questions deepen exploration. After Lena mentioned her teacher's feedback, Marcus asked, "How did that comment change your approach?" This uncovered her fear of experimenting with colors. Reflective questions also validate feelings, saying, "It sounds like that situation left you frustrated. What needed to happen differently?" helps others feel heard. In healthcare, Dr. Elias improved patient outcomes by replacing "Are you taking your medicine?" with "What makes it hard to remember your doses?" One patient, Arjun, revealed night shifts disrupted his routine, leading them to set phone reminders together. Such questions expose root causes, not just symptoms. A practical framework helps. 1. Begin with open starters. How, what, or tell me about. 2. Listen fully. Notice emotions and hesitations. 3. Probe gently. What else influenced that decision? 4. Reflect insights. So reliability mattered most here. 5. Empower. What support would make this easier? Avoid interrogation. Balance inquiry with silence, letting responses breathe. Rita, a mediator, resolved a family dispute by asking, "What's one thing you wish the other person understood?" After pauses, both expressed unspoken regrets. What closed question could you reopen today? Questions transform conflicts into collaborations. When tech partners Zoe and Amir clashed over design changes, Zoe asked, "What's your biggest concern if we proceed this way?" Amir admitted scalability fears, leading to a phased rollout plan. This mirrors negotiation principles where exploring interests builds joint solutions. Remember, questions aren't tools to control, but bridges to connect. Each one says, "I value your view." As we'll see next, stories weave these insights into shared experiences that bind us closer. Part 4. Stories that bring us closer. Stories transform abstract ideas into shared human experiences. When Priya needed her team to understand new cybersecurity protocols, she didn't list technical specifications. Instead, she described how her neighbor Clara lost her life savings after clicking one phishing link during a hospital visit. Eyes widened as colleagues imagined Clara's panic, watching her bank account empty. Complex security concepts became visceral truths through that narrative. This illustrates how stories bypass intellectual resistance and create immediate emotional understanding. What personal experience could make your next important message unforgettable? Effective stories share 3 key traits. First, they center on universal struggles, like Samir's bakery nearly failing during supply chain issues. When explaining partnership terms to investors, he described weighing flour at 3 a.m., wondering if his employees would get paid. His vulnerability about near failure made contractual details feel meaningful. Second, strong narratives show transformation. Consider Elena, whose team resisted workflow changes until she shared how her grandmother adapted knitting techniques after arthritis struck. The parallel helped colleagues see adaptation as dignity, not defeat. Building trust requires authenticity, not perfection. When Kenji botched a client presentation, he gathered his team and admitted, "Remember how I coached you about preparation? Yesterday proved I need that advice most." His story of failure, including the client's visible disappointment, made guidelines tangible. Colleagues later shared their own missteps freely. How might admitting a recent stumble strengthen your leadership? Stories also resolve conflicts by revealing shared values. During union negotiations, factory manager Annika described finding her father's old pay stub showing wages below living standards. "His boss called it market rate," she said. "I don't want anyone here feeling that despair." Union reps then shared stories of medical debt avoided through overtime. This narrative exchange uncovered mutual priorities, dignity, and family security. Within hours, they designed a tiered wage model. To craft impactful stories: 1. Identify the core emotion: frustration, hope, relief. 2. Choose a relatable character: you, someone observed, a composite. 3. Isolate the pivotal moment of change. 4. Keep it under 90 seconds. Practice by explaining a policy through a customer's eyes. For instance, when Raj couldn't access his pension online, he took 3 buses to our office. His relief when we fixed it in minutes showed our portal's flaws cost more than time. They cost dignity. Notice how technical issues become human experiences. What policy frustrates people? How would they tell that story? Stories turn listeners into participants. After Liam shared his near eviction during a financial literacy workshop, attendees didn't just learn budgeting, they brainstormed emergency rental programs. The story made poverty visceral, shifting theory to action. Your stories won't just convey information, they'll build the shared understanding that turns me into we. Chapter 3. Navigating Stormy Waters. Part 1. Staying calm when it matters most. Imagine facing a colleague who criticizes your work in front of others. Your face flushes, your pulse quickens, and defensive words bubble up. This natural reaction can derail conversations within seconds. Staying calm under pressure transforms conflict into collaboration. This section shares science-backed techniques to manage emotional reactions. You'll learn to pause automatic responses, create space for thoughtful dialogue, and become someone others trust during tense moments. These skills turn heated arguments into opportunities for mutual understanding. Our bodies react to perceived threats before our minds catch up. When Raj heard his client say, "Your proposal missed the mark," his shoulders tensed and thoughts raced. This fight-or-flight response once protected us from predators. Today, it surfaces during tough talks. Recognizing physical signs, shallow breathing, clenched jaw, or trembling hands is the first step toward control. What bodily signals do you notice when conversations grow tense? Breathing anchors us in stormy moments. Try the 4-7-8 method. Inhale quietly for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale audibly for 8. Priya used this during budget negotiations when her manager questioned her numbers. As she breathed, her racing mind slowed. She noticed her urge to interrupt fading. Oxygen flow calms the nervous system, reducing cortisol within minutes. Practice this daily, even during non-stressful activities, to build resilience. Mindfulness creates mental space between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting to Elena's accusation about missed deadlines, Thomas silently named his feelings. "I feel defensive, embarrassed." This simple labeling technique, shown in brain scans, reduces amygdala activity. By acknowledging this is anger without judgment, we prevent emotions from hijacking conversations. What emotion do you most struggle to name in conflicts? Emotional reframing changes outcomes. When Ken's teammate blamed him for project delays, Ken initially thought, "He's attacking me." After a breath, he reframed, "He's worried about our deadline." This shift helped Ken ask, "What concerns you most?" rather than counterattacking. Studies show viewing tension as shared problem-solving activates collaborative brain regions. Try replacing "this is an argument" with "this is a puzzle to solve together." Consider medical teams handling life-or-death disagreements. Dr. Nia Chen used these techniques during emergency room conflicts. Before training, debates about patient care turned personal. Now, when voices rise, she pauses for 3 breaths. This creates space for statements like, "Let's clarify our priorities." Her hospital reports 30% fewer communication breakdowns during crises. Small pauses build psychological safety where ideas flow without fear. Practical steps for daily use. 1. Pause physically. Step back or put down your pen to signal reflection. 2. Ground yourself. Feel your feet on the floor or touch a cool surface. 3. Ask clarifying questions. Help me understand why this matters so much. 4. Normalize. I notice we're both passionate about this. These approaches prevent escalation. Notice how Irina responded when her teenager yelled, "You never listen!" Instead of shouting back, she breathed and said, "It hurts me that you feel unheard. Tell me more." The conversation shifted from blame to connection. Where could creating small pauses improve your important relationships? Calmness becomes contagious. As you model composure, others mirror it. This foundation prepares us for structured approaches to sensitive topics. Part 2. The Art of Difficult Conversations. Handling tough talks well can change relationships and outcomes. This part shares a clear way to prepare for sensitive discussions, listen fully, and respond thoughtfully. You'll learn how to avoid common mistakes and make others feel safe enough to share honestly. These skills help in work conflicts, family tensions, or community disagreements. Imagine resolving issues without damage. This section gives you the tools to do just that. Start by preparing your mindset before speaking. Set a positive goal for the talk, like understand their view or find a solution together. Take 5 minutes to write this down. When Lena needed to discuss her brother's unpaid loan, she first asked herself, "What relationship do I want afterward?" Her goal became, keep trust while settling the debt. This focus stopped her from leading with anger. What's one difficult talk you've avoided? What positive intention could guide it? Active listening comes next. Give full attention without planning your reply. Show you're tracking through nods or brief phrases like, "I see." Paraphrase their words to confirm understanding. After Ben's employee Omar criticized a policy, Ben said, "You're saying the rules feel unfair?" Omar relaxed, adding, "Yes, because newer staff get flexibility." That revealed the real issue. Are you truly hearing others or just waiting to speak? Respond constructively using I statements to share feelings without blame. Say, "I felt worried when the report was late," instead of, "You messed up." Offer solutions jointly. Could we brainstorm deadlines together? When Ken's neighbor played loud music, he began with, "I struggle to sleep, but I know you enjoy music. What times work for both of us?" They agreed on quiet hours after 10 p.m. This builds cooperation, not walls. Avoid common pitfalls. Never assume motives, ask instead. Interrupting or multitasking kills trust. Defensiveness escalates tension. Breathe if you feel attacked. Picture Eva confronting her friend about canceled plans. Pitfall approach. You always flake. Result, argument. Improved way. When plans change last minute, I feel disappointed. What happened? Her friend explained a family emergency, and they created backup plans. Create safety by choosing private settings and assuring confidentiality. Start with appreciation. I value our partnership, which is why I want to discuss this. If emotions rise, pause and acknowledge them. This is hard. Let's take a breath. Ria, a team lead, began feedback sessions with, "Your work matters and I want to support you." Her reports then shared concerns openly. Where could you make conversations safer today? Practice builds confidence. Role play with a trusted person first. After tough talks, reflect. What went well? What would I adjust? Small steps lead to big changes. You're now ready to turn resistance into agreement, the next step in mastering conflict. Part 3. Turning no into yes. Imagine facing a hard no that blocks progress. That resistance isn't a dead end. It's an invitation to build bridges. This part shows how to shift opposition into cooperation using proven psychology and communication methods. You'll learn practical ways to uncover shared goals, address unspoken concerns, and craft solutions where everyone gains value. These aren't manipulation tricks, but relationship-building tools that turn clashes into collaboration. Ready to transform roadblocks into pathways forward? When Priya told her teammate Leo, "I can't take on the client redesign," it seemed final. Instead of arguing, Leo asked, "What part feels impossible right now?" Priya revealed her workload buried her. Leo then shared the client's flexible deadline. They co-created a plan. Priya delegated 2 routine tasks, freeing her to lead the redesign. By seeking the why behind refusal, Leo uncovered hidden pressures. What looks like stubbornness is often overload or fear. Ask yourself, when did I last pause to explore what's beneath a no? Psychologists find that resistance softens when people feel heard. Naming emotions builds trust. It sounds like this deadline stresses you. Acknowledge his feelings without judgment. Retail manager Carlos used this when his employee refused weekend shifts. "You seem worried about family time," he said. She admitted her son's soccer games. Carlos offered weekday flexibility in exchange for 2 Saturdays. The solution emerged because he addressed the real need: balance. Win-win outcomes require mutual discovery. A software team deadlocked over design choices used interest mapping. Each wrote core needs anonymously. User-friendliness versus quick launch. Seeing shared goals, satisfied users, and timely delivery, they compromised on a phased rollout. Tools like this shift focus from positions, "my idea," to shared principles, "our success." How might you reframe your next disagreement as a puzzle to solve together? Small concessions unlock big agreements. When tenant Maya couldn't afford a rent hike, she proposed maintaining the building's garden in exchange for a freeze. The landlord saved $200 monthly on landscapers. Maya kept her home. This traded low-effort actions for high-value needs, a tactic called log rolling. Identify what costs you little but benefits others immensely. Every no holds clues. After a rejected proposal, marketer Dev asked clients, "What would make this work for you?" Their feedback revealed budget fears. He offered a staged payment plan, securing the deal. Post-rejection questions like, "What's one change that would help?" transform barriers into blueprints. Even failed pitches teach us how others measure value. Master negotiators emphasize common ground early. "We both want this project to succeed" establishes alliance before tackling differences. Teacher Mr. Finn used this when parents opposed new homework rules. He started meetings with, "We share a goal," reducing student stress. This built goodwill for discussing alternatives. Disagreements handled well strengthen bonds. Priya later told Leo, "You made me feel supported, not overruled." That trust accelerated their next collaboration. By respecting no as the start of dialogue, not its end, you build lasting influence. As we move forward, we'll explore how to harvest insights from every conflict. Word count, key techniques integrated, interest mapping from crucial conversations, emotion labeling from never split the difference, log-rolling concessions from negotiation psychology, mutual purpose framing from the 7 Habits case studies, workplace Priya Leo, retail Carlos, tenant negotiation Maya, client management Dev, education Mr. Finn. Flow continuity starts where difficult conversations end, resistance as opportunity, ends by setting up learning from every disagreement. Part 4. Learning from every disagreement. Think of disagreements not as roadblocks, but as hidden classrooms. Every clash of opinions holds lessons waiting to be discovered. This section reveals how to transform arguments into breakthroughs. You'll learn practical ways to mine insights from conflicts, strengthen relationships through respectful dialogue, and build communication skills that turn tension into progress. Let's explore how to listen deeply even when we disagree. Consider Anya and Ben, 2 engineers debating a design approach. Their meeting grew heated, voices rising over technical trade-offs. Later, Anya reflected alone. "Why did Ben's comments make me so defensive?" She realized her reaction stemmed from a past project failure. Meanwhile, Ben asked himself, what was Anya truly protecting? He recalled her meticulous attention to safety standards. When they reconvened, Anya said, "Help me understand why speed matters here." Ben responded, "And how can we address your reliability concerns?" This shift uncovered their shared goal, building durable products fast. Their next prototype blended both visions. What personal trigger often amplifies your disagreements? Conflict reflection works best with structure. First, pause after tension peaks. Breathe deeply for 90 seconds. This calms the nervous system. Second, identify your emotional flashpoint. Did criticism sting? Did interruptions feel disrespectful? Third, mentally replay the conversation from the other person's viewpoint. What pressures might they face? Fourth, pinpoint one communication habit to adjust. Perhaps you'll ask more clarifying questions next time, or express assumptions more gently. Omar, a restaurant manager, used this method after clashing with Chef Lena over menu changes. His journal entry read, "I felt dismissed when she interrupted, but she was stressed about food costs." Next time, ask about constraints before proposing ideas. Respectful disagreement requires deliberate language. Replace "you're wrong" with "I see it differently. Here's why." Swap "that won't work" for "what challenges do you foresee with this approach?" When siblings Tara and Eli argued about caring for their aging mother, Tara said, "Your schedule suggestions ignore my commute." Eli paused, then reframed, "So reliable transportation is key for you. How might we solve that?" This opened space for creative solutions, including telehealth visits on Tara's remote days. Notice how naming needs, reliable transportation, diffused blame. What phrase could you use to acknowledge differing views without surrender? Resilience grows through consistent practice. Treat each conflict as a data-gathering mission. What worked? What escalated tension? Kaido, a teacher, noticed students debated more productively after he implemented perspective rounds, where each side restates the other's view before responding. Within weeks, Classroom disputes became shorter and solutions more inventive. The pattern is clear. Each analyzed disagreement strengthens your ability to navigate future ones. Like learning to sail, initial storms feel overwhelming, but practiced sailors read winds and currents to advance. Your next disagreement might just reveal your next breakthrough. Chapter 4. Making your message stick. Part 1. Crafting memorable messages. Crafting memorable messages. Creating messages that stick requires intentional design. This section reveals practical techniques for making your communication clear, concise, and compelling. You'll learn how simplicity, repetition, and emotional connection transform forgettable words into resonant messages. Discover how adjusting your approach for different listeners dramatically increases impact. These tools will help you cut through noise and make your ideas memorable in everyday conversations and important presentations alike. When Priya needed her team to adopt new safety procedures, she avoided technical jargon. Instead, she said, "Imagine your child riding this equipment. What one change would protect them?" This simple, emotionally framed question made complex regulations feel personal. Her team remembered the message because it connected to universal values, family and safety. What personal values might your audience share? Repetition anchors ideas without sounding redundant. Environmental scientist David used this at community meetings about recycling. Plastic lasts centuries, centuries in landfills, centuries polluting oceans. By repeating centuries 3 times in different contexts, he emphasized plastic's permanence. Later, residents could recall this core fact even when forgetting statistics. Try identifying the one word that captures your main idea. Repeat it creatively across your message. Tailoring matters. Engineer Ben explained his solar project differently to 3 groups. For investors, he emphasized profit margins with clean graphs. For engineers, he detailed technical specifications. For neighborhood councils, he showed photos of how panels would look on local rooftops. Each version contained the same facts but prioritized what mattered most to that audience. Who needs to hear your message today, and what matters most to them? Emotional appeal works through relatable stories. When bookstore owner Clara wanted customers to support local businesses, she didn't quote economic studies. She shared how Mr. Evans, a regular customer, met his wife in her store's poetry aisle. This human connection made abstract shop local campaigns feel tangible. People remembered the story months later. What personal experience could illustrate your point? Consider context too. Dr. Arjun simplified medical instructions differently for children. Germs are invisible bugs making you tired. Soap is your superhero. Versus adults. Washing removes viruses before they multiply. Both versions achieve the same goal: better hand hygiene through audience-appropriate language. A practical framework for crafting messages. First, identify your core idea, no more than 10 words. Second, find an emotional hook relevant to your listeners. Third, repeat your central concept in different ways. Finally, test it. Would my neighbor understand this immediately? Refine until it passes that test. Messages stick when they travel from the mind to the heart. Simple language acts as the bridge, repetition builds the path, and emotional connection makes the destination memorable. What message have you been struggling to convey? How could these tools reshape it? Part 2. The magic of storytelling. Stories transform ordinary messages into unforgettable experiences. When you weave facts into narratives, you help people see themselves in the situation. This section shows how to build stories that hold attention and spark emotion using simple structures anyone can master. You'll learn to turn everyday challenges into compelling tales that inspire action. Consider Ben, a restaurant manager. He needed his staff to stop wasting food. Instead of listing statistics, he shared a story. Last week, our cook Lena saw tomatoes rotting in the bin. She remembered her grandmother's struggle during the drought, how every spoiled tomato meant less food for her family. Lena started using imperfect tomatoes in sauces. Now we save $200 weekly. By linking waste reduction to Lena's personal history, Ben made the message visceral. What personal experiences could make your next message resonate? Effective stories follow a clear path. Start with a character facing a challenge, like Priya, a teacher trying to engage distracted students. Introduce conflict. Her class ignored climate change lessons. Then show resolution. She took them to a dying coral reef. Seeing bleached corals firsthand, students launched a recycling program. This structure, character, struggle, solution mirrors how our brains process information. Neuroscientists find stories activate both language and sensory centers, making ideas 22 times more memorable than facts alone. Practice transforms clumsy tales into powerful tools. Begin with low-stakes situations. Explain a new policy using a colleague's success story during coffee breaks. Record yourself on your phone. Note where listeners lean in or check their watches. Trim unnecessary details. One study found stories under 90 seconds keep attention best. Carlos, an insurance agent, rehearsed a client's story daily while commuting. Within weeks, his customer conversions rose 35% because he sounded natural, not scripted. Emotion fuels connection. Notice how children's stories use simple feelings. Fear, the wolf is coming. Relief, safe in grandma's house. Adult stories work similarly. A nurse named Fiona convinced hesitant patients to get flu shots by describing how her immunocompromised nephew avoided hospitalization because neighbors got vaccinated. She paired data with a vulnerable moment, reducing refusal rates by half. When did emotion last change your mind about something important? Refine stories by testing them. Tell your draft to someone unfamiliar with the topic. Ask, where did you lose interest? What felt unclear? Iterate based on feedback. Lena, the cook from earlier, initially described food waste in kilos. When colleagues yawned, she switched to enough wasted potatoes to feed 20 families for a week, a phrase that stuck. Great storytellers shape narratives through trial and error, not innate talent. Stories bypass resistance. During salary negotiations, engineer Omar shared how his coding fix saved a client from bankruptcy. His boss approved the raise instantly because the story demonstrated value better than any demand. As one negotiation expert notes, stories help people see before they believe. They transform abstract concepts into tangible outcomes, exactly what makes messages stick. What problem could you reframe as a journey of discovery? Part 3. Speaking with confidence. Imagine crafting a powerful message only to have it falter because your voice wavers or your body betrays nervousness. Confidence transforms words into influence. This section reveals practical techniques to master your physical presence, vocal delivery, and mental preparation. You'll learn how small adjustments, like shifting posture or rehearsing strategically, build unshakable assurance. These aren't innate talents, but trainable skills. By the end, you'll know how to turn anxiety into authority, making listeners lean in rather than tune out. Everyone feels nervous before speaking. Raj, an engineer, dreaded team updates. His brilliant ideas got ignored because he'd rushed through sentences while staring at his shoes. His breakthrough came when he reframed nervous energy as excitement. Before meetings, he'd whisper, "I'm sharing something useful." This mindset shift, focusing on service, not judgment, calmed him. What belief about yourself might be magnifying your fear? Preparation builds confidence. Lena, a teacher, scripted key points for parent conferences but sounded robotic. She switched to bullet points with breathing pauses marked. During talks, she'd plant her feet firmly, inhale, and speak one thought per breath. Her pauses felt eternal to her, but looked thoughtful to others. Voice modulation follows rhythm, not rules. Record yourself discussing your hobby. Where could you slow down or emphasize words? Body language speaks first. Diego noticed colleagues interrupted him in meetings. He practiced power pauses, stopping mid-sentence, squaring his shoulders, and making eye contact before continuing. This subtle reset made him appear grounded. Studies show open postures, uncrossed arms, palms visible, increase both perceived and actual confidence. Try standing like a superhero for 2 minutes before important conversations. How does it change your presence? Practice deliberately, not endlessly. Fatima rehearsed presentations 20 times but still stumbled. Then she focused on problem spots, practicing transitions between slides aloud while walking. She'd simulate interruptions. What if someone asks about costs and reply concisely? This targeted rehearsal built flexibility. Remember Leo, who shared stories last section? His storytelling soared when he replaced memorization with understanding his narrative arc. What's one specific speaking challenge you drill? Credibility grows through consistency. Ben's team distrusted his proposals until he identified a tic, saying sort of when nervous. He asked a friend to tap the table whenever it happened. Within a week, awareness eliminated the phrase. Small, observable changes. steady eye contact, varied vocal pitch. Signal reliability faster than perfect words. Your voice should dance between quiet intensity and conversational warmth. Listen to a podcast host you admire. Where do they speed up or soften? Confidence is cumulative. Priya started small, voicing opinions in chats before speaking in meetings. Each win reinforced her capability. She'd later present complex data with calm authority because she'd proven her voice mattered. This mirrors research. Competence beliefs grow through incremental evidence, not affirmations. What micro-opportunity could you seize today to exercise your speaking muscles? Raj now leads project briefings with steady eye contact. Lena's parent engagement scores doubled. Diego gets fewer interruptions. Their transformations started with recognizing that confidence isn't the absence of fear but the mastery of it. You refine presence by treating your body and voice as instruments, adjusting volume, posture, and pace until they align with your message's weight. Next, we'll explore how to channel this assurance into motivating others. Part 4. Inspiring action in others. Imagine having the power to move people from thought to action. This part shows how your words can spark real change in others. You'll learn to craft requests that get results, connect emotionally without manipulation, and build trust that makes people want to follow your lead. We'll cover simple methods like framing clear next steps and sharing stories that resonate. You'll see why authenticity beats pressure every time. Real examples will prove how teachers, leaders, and volunteers inspire teams, communities, and even skeptics. Get ready to turn your ideas into collective action. Confidence in speaking sets the stage for motivation. When you believe in your message, others feel it. Think of Nia, a store manager whose team ignored new procedures. She stopped announcing rules and started conversations. "What makes your shift smoother?" she'd ask. Listening revealed their frustrations with outdated equipment. Nia shared how the changes would fix those issues. Her team felt heard and participation soared. This shift from telling to inviting creates fertile ground for action. Emotional connection turns interest into movement. Consider Ben, a community volunteer. He needed neighbors to join a park cleanup. Instead of listing tasks, he described kids finding broken glass near swings. What if our next picnic was safer? This simple image stirred concern and responsibility. Sign-ups tripled. Stories like this work because they link your request to shared values: safety, family, or fairness. When have you used a personal story to highlight a bigger issue? A clear call to action is essential. Vague pleas like "help out sometime" rarely work. Effective requests are specific, timely, and doable. Take Omar, a teacher fundraising for classroom books. He didn't just ask for donations. He said, "Can you pledge $10 by Friday? That buys 2 books and I'll email you their titles." This approach made the impact tangible and the steps small. People donated because they saw exactly how their help mattered. Building rapport makes your influence lasting. Kira, a project lead, noticed her colleague Leo resisted new software. She didn't push harder. Over coffee, she learned Leo feared looking slow in front of his team. Kira offered to practice with him privately first. This built trust, and Leo became the software's biggest advocate. Rapport grows when you prioritize understanding over winning. It's not about tricks, it's about respect. How might you uncover someone's unspoken worries today? Ethics anchor your influence. Authenticity means aligning your requests with your actions. Lena, a fitness coach, urged clients to hydrate daily. When they saw her carrying a water bottle, her credibility grew. Contrast this with a salesperson exaggerating product benefits. Short-term gains, long-term distrust. True inspiration honors choice. Present facts plainly, acknowledge downsides, and let people decide. This builds loyalty. Pressure tactics destroy. Inspiring action transforms communication from noise into progress. Your words become bridges others cross willingly. Now, how will you apply this today? Chapter 5, Growing Together. Part 1, Building Trust Over Time. Trust takes time to grow, like a sturdy tree starting as a small seed. This section explores how consistency, reliability, and openness form the roots of lasting trust in any relationship. You'll discover practical ways to strengthen bonds through daily actions, repair trust when it falters, and understand how forgiveness and patience create resilience. These tools help relationships thrive through challenges. Consider Priya and Leo, colleagues who initially struggled to collaborate. Priya began by consistently sharing project updates every Tuesday, even when progress was slow. Leo noticed her reliability when she delivered promised feedback within 24 hours. Their breakthrough came when Priya admitted a scheduling error early, allowing them to solve it together. How often do you demonstrate such consistency in your commitments? Transparency accelerates trust. When Javier's bakery faced supply issues, he posted signs explaining price changes instead of hiding the reason. Customers appreciated his honesty. Many returned despite higher costs. Research shows workplaces practicing radical transparency have 30% higher trust levels. Small truths, like explaining a delayed response instead of ghosting, prevent misunderstandings. Trust breaks require immediate repair. After Omar forgot his daughter's recital, he didn't just apologize. He created a shared calendar with alerts, showing changed behavior through 3 months of perfect attendance at her events. Effective repair involves 4 steps. Acknowledge harm. I see I hurt you. Take ownership. This was my fault. Make amends. How can I fix this? And prove change through consistent actions. Which step feels most challenging in your relationships? Forgiveness is a joint journey. When Elena's missed deadline cost her team a client, she requested feedback sessions to prevent repeats. Her manager, Ben, practiced patience by acknowledging her improvement weekly. Studies indicate teams that discuss errors openly resolve disputes 50% faster. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's choosing progress over perfection while watching for genuine change. Like nurturing a garden, trust blossoms through daily care. Small, reliable actions water it. Transparency provides sunlight. Repair and forgiveness prune damaged branches. Soon you'll see how celebrating growth together strengthens these roots further. Practical applications. Consistency ritual. Choose one promise to keep daily, e.g., I'll respond to messages by 5 p.m. Transparency practice. Start difficult conversations with, here's what I'm thinking. Repair framework. Use, I apologize for specific action. Next time I'll prevention plan. Patience reminder. Track 3 positive changes before judging trust recovery. Real change appears in ordinary moments. A kept appointment, an honest admission, a patient response to frustration. These choices compound into unshakable trust. What single trustworthy action could you take today? Part 2. Celebrating small wins. Consider those ordinary moments of trust building. Returning a call on time, admitting a mistake, or responding calmly to frustration. These seemingly minor actions form the bedrock of strong relationships. Now let's explore how recognizing these small victories transforms momentum and connection. When we pause to acknowledge progress, no matter how tiny, we fuel motivation and strengthen bonds. This practice creates cycles of positivity that make growth feel achievable. What small step forward have you overlooked today? Scientific research shows our brains respond to achievement with dopamine, a chemical linked to pleasure and motivation. This biological reward system explains why celebrating small successes makes us want to repeat positive behaviors. Take Maya and Ben, colleagues working on a tense project. After weeks of friction, they committed to weekly check-ins where they'd each share one concern. When Ben acknowledged Maya's suggestion during their 3rd meeting, Maya smiled and said, I noticed you really listened. That helped us avoid our usual deadlock. This specific praise reinforced Ben's effort. Within a month, their collaboration improved by 40%. How might your relationships shift if you spotted one small, positive action daily? Start with observation. Keep a notebook this week to log tiny wins. Leo asked clarifying questions instead of interrupting, or Priya shared her schedule without prompting. Then voice your acknowledgement immediately. Use the name impact method. State what you saw and its effect. For example, when you summarized my point before replying name, I felt understood, impact. This specificity proves you're paying attention and magnifies the encouragement. Avoid generic praise like good job. Instead, anchor celebrations to effort, not just outcomes. When young Omar struggled with math, his teacher celebrated his completed homework, not the grade. This kept him motivated despite wrong answers. 6 months later, his test scores rose. What effort could you honor this week? Create reinforcement loops by pairing acknowledgments with micro-rituals. A tech team started ending meetings by sharing one small win per person. Sales partners Annika and Dev began exchanging Friday voice notes highlighting each other's progress. These consistent practices build collective momentum. Common challenge: many dismiss minor successes as unimportant. Counter this by reframing progress. Completed a difficult chat without raising voices? That's a win. Listened fully before responding? Another win. Each is a brick in your relationship's foundation. As we prepare to explore learning from mistakes, consider which small victory could become your springboard for resilience. Part 3. Learning from mistakes. Mistakes happen to everyone, even when we try our best. What matters most isn't avoiding errors, but what we do afterward. This part shows how missteps can become powerful teachers if we approach them with honesty and care. You'll learn practical ways to transform communication blunders into stepping stones for growth, both for yourself and your relationships. Discover how reflection, humility, and feedback turn failures into progress. Lena sent a rushed email to her team, criticizing a report without checking details. Her colleague Rafiq had worked late to finish it. When Rafiq quietly pointed out factual errors in her critique, Lena's first instinct was to defend herself. But she paused. That evening she reflected. Why did I react so quickly? How did my words land? She realized her haste came from stress, not Rafiq's work. The next day, Lena apologized sincerely and asked, how could I have given better feedback? Rafiq suggested a quick call next time instead of email. Lena now keeps a sticky note on her desk. Pause, check facts, choose kindness. Consider your own reactions. When someone corrects you, do you shut down or get defensive? That resistance blocks learning. Humility means accepting we don't have all the answers. Like Ben, who interrupted his partner during a heated talk about finances. Later he admitted, I wasn't listening. I was just waiting to talk. He asked, what did I miss when I cut you off? His partner shared how unheard she felt. Ben's openness repaired trust faster than any argument. Creating safety is key. People won't share errors if they fear blame. At a design studio, the manager, Yara, started weekly lessons learned chats. One session revealed a client project failed because no one spoke up about an unrealistic deadline. Instead of finger-pointing, Yara asked, what systems failed us? They built a new rule. Anyone can flag timeline concerns anonymously. Errors dropped by 40% in 6 months. Psychological safety isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's about fixing them together. Try this after a misstep. 1. Pause, breathe before reacting. 2. Own it. I was wrong about X disarms conflict. Ask, what did my actions cause? How can I improve? 4. Act. Do one thing differently next time. Feedback is a gift, but only if received well. When Zoe's friend said, you seem distracted when we talk, Zoe resisted the urge to explain. She said, tell me more. Her friend mentioned she checked her phone during their coffee meetup. Zoe now leaves her phone in her bag, a small change that deepened their connection. What feedback have you dismissed lately that might hold truth? Mistakes teach us to listen, not just to others, but to our own patterns. Every oops uncovers hidden assumptions, like assuming silence means agreement or that speed trumps clarity. Each time we course correct, we build resilience. That resilience makes us curious, adaptable communicators, ready for whatever comes next. Part 4. Becoming a lifelong communicator. Communication skills grow with us, like a garden that needs regular tending. This section explores how to keep improving your ability to connect through lifelong learning. We'll look at simple habits and attitudes that build stronger interactions over time. You'll discover how curiosity turns everyday talks into practice sessions, why adapting your approach matters, and what resources can fuel steady growth. By embracing this journey, you'll find deeper understanding in both personal and professional relationships. Zoe's phone habit changed after feedback, but her growth didn't stop there. She started viewing every conversation as a chance to practice, much like Amir, a teacher who improved his parent meetings by jotting down one question beforehand. What's unspoken here? This small act helped him notice when a father's short answers hid worries about his son's reading skills. What quiet signals might you overlook in daily chats? Curiosity fuels this journey. Consider Lena, a nurse who kept misunderstandings low by asking, could you show me what you mean, when patients described pain? Her openness helped an elderly man demonstrate his stiff shoulder movements instead of struggling with vague words. Adapting to others isn't about complex techniques, it's tuning into their needs. If your coworker rushes through updates, try shorter check-ins. For a friend who shares slowly, offer patient silence. How might your approach shift for different people? Practice builds ease. Ben, a retail manager, spent 10 minutes daily replaying conversations. Did I interrupt? Or where did they light up? His notes revealed patterns, like cutting off quieter staff, so he began counting to 3 before responding. Within weeks, his team offered more ideas. Free resources abound, like podcasts during chores or observing calm communicators in cafes. Even failed talks teach. After a heated family dinner, Rosa asked her sister, "What part of my argument felt dismissive?" The answer, "You quoted statistics when I needed empathy," reshaped future debates. When did a tough talk recently reveal a blind spot? Habits sustain progress. Daily reflection, even for 5 minutes, helps cement lessons. Priya kept a connection journal, rating interactions from 1 distracted to 5 fully present, and noting 1 improvement for next time. This turned her rushed client calls into attentive dialogues where needs surfaced faster. Feedback loops matter too. Every month, Diego asked his partner, "What's one way I could listen better to you?" Their shared answers, like "ask if I want advice" or "just venting," became their communication compass. What tiny habit could start your practice today? Growth thrives when we stay flexible. A software developer, Kwame, struggled with technical jargon until he tested explanations on his niece. Her confused frowns taught him to swap terms like algorithm for recipe steps. Now his team presentations start with, "Tell me how this lands for you." Every audience holds clues, a colleague's crossed arms, a child's fidgeting, that invite adjustments. The goal isn't perfection, but willingness to evolve. Like Zoe's phone ritual, small tweaks compound over years, turning missteps into mastery.